Hi there, my name is Ingafay, and I'm a confidence coach for direct sellers and network marketers. And today I have my girlfriend, Dr. Gigi, to share with you today. She is a mom, a former dentist, and even a painter and life coach. And expertise.com has named her one of the top 17 life coaches in New York City for 2022. In today's video, we're going to talk about the bottom line, thoughts, and mindset. So, without further ado, let's go into the interview. Let's do this, shall we? Well, hello, everyone. Of course, this is Inga Faye, your direct sales diva and confidence coach. And I'm so excited today to be with my girlfriend, Dr. Gigi. We're going to learn from her today and learn more about the bottom line, which is our thoughts and our mindset. So how you doing, Dr. Gigi?
All great. Thanks, Inga. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, girlfriend. Well, tell us a little bit about you, how you got started, and who do you serve at this time?
Okay, so first of all, to tell you, and you could probably hear by my accent that I'm from New York. I'm in New York City. So it's nice to meet you guys. My name is Dr. Gigi Arnaud, and I am now a life and mindset coach and have been one for the last 20 years, also a hypnotherapist. And believe it or not, for 37 years, I was a dentist. Now I'm also a painter. So my background is in both art and science. And what I do with people is help them master their mindset or train their brain to change the thought patterns, the ones that are holding them back or limiting them in their life, so that because we all know once you change, like you said, the bottom line is the way we think, our thoughts. Once we change our thoughts, we can change our behaviors or actions and therefore our life, right? So the idea is to change your thought patterns in alignment with the authentic you, with who you authentically are. I do believe that each of our missions, if you want to call it that, or purposes, the big one here is to become who we were born to be and meant to be, that we're born beautiful, unique, and perfect. And we have to rediscover that. And it's a journey. And training your brain or mastering your mindset and therefore your life is a big part of the journey.
Awesome. So how did you get started in this?
Well, that's an interesting question. So as I said, I was a dentist, but that was, I liked it and I was good with my hands, but it was a pretty practical choice. I come from French Jewish immigrant parents. They went to Brooklyn from Paris after World War II, but they were hidden children Holocaust survivors. They had to hide for their lives because they were Jewish in the France during the time of the Holocaust. And unfortunately, a lot of my family was lost. My grandfather was killed at Auschwitz and many other family members were killed. And so you can imagine that, this was big trauma for my parents. It changed the course of their lives. It changed the course of their family lives. Now, I'm just going to say this is a big trauma, but whether there's big trauma in your life, a small trauma, it can affect you very much. And I work with a lot of people through some of the trauma because it affects our thought pattern. So what I realized is I was doing life coaching for many years, but I gave up my practice a couple of years ago and I sold it and all that. And I decided to do the coaching full time, but my love was to find out, about how the mind works, right? How the psyche is, how we feel, think, do. I was always fascinated because in my family, due to this trauma, I had a lot of issues most of my life. I'm going to tell you, I had, to be honest, constant anxiety, low level depression, I'm going to say. I was very high functioning, but inside I kind of felt empty, stuck, sad, struggling. So I work with others who feel that way, that there was something missing. And I realized what was missing was, or maybe not healthy for me, was the way I was thinking. And it was very, of course, with my background, very negative, a lot of death, destruction, loss. So that was how my mindset and my thought patterns were working. And I needed to make a lot of efforts in my life with coaching, with therapy, with all kinds of healers and books and courses to change it. It made all the difference in the world. It took me a really long time. So as you can see, I'm no spring chicken, but I don't want it to take others as long. That's the whole thing. You don't have to suffer as long. You can change your mindset, train your brain, and change your life, basically.
Awesome. So how do you think this will help people in a professional from a professional point of view? And then how do you think it will help them just in their personal life?
Well, I think we're holistic beings. So it doesn't matter whether it's personal or professional, because people may come to me for professional reasons. I work with everybody. I work with entrepreneurs, like you said, direct salespeople. I work with people who work in companies. I work with artists, all kinds of people, because bottom line, it doesn't matter who you are exactly or what you do. The way you think about things is important. The way your thought patterns work is important. And it's not just woo stuff. I work with people. I'm very pragmatic too, probably having come from immigrants. So I work with people through exercises, through renaming and reframing their words, their ways of thinking. I even I talk a lot about the mind-body connection. A lot of science is involved. We do exercises with the vagus nerve, with the nervous system, with training it. Because a lot of people come to me with high levels of anxiety, and I know what this is. I had it for a long time, and unfortunately today in our current culture, anxiety is kind of blowing out, especially with younger generations. So it's really important, but it doesn't really matter what area it's in. Yes, I was an entrepreneur and I still am. So I have my own experience and in other parts of life too, in the arts and so on. So I can help people practically, but I think more importantly, no matter what you're coming for, whether it be personal, professional, whatever, the bottom line is dealing with your mindset, becoming aware of your mindset, the way you're thinking, and the way you want to change it, how you want to go from where you are now to where you want to be. That's the work we do together.
So, and I guess you kind of already answered this a little bit, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway.
Good.
So, why do you think people need to work on mastering their mindset? What kind of implications do you think it would have on their life or even their business?
Beautiful. Because as you said beautifully, the bottom line is the way you think. Change your thoughts, change your life, right? We always say the definition of insanity is something like, repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Yeah, that's true. But that's what we do in our brains. We think the same way and we expect different behaviors, different action, different life. But you don't get it. The only way you can change those things is to start changing what's here. We can't control, we know this, we can't control, external circumstances, what's going to happen to us, whether professionally or personally, really. The only thing, and you've heard this before, I'm sure, that you can control or take charge over is the way you respond to it, and awareness of your mindset is so important. And also just knowing the differences and understanding how you are, like between, for example, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, right? There are people who have a fixed mindset. They believe you're born with a certain amount of talent, skills, intelligence, and that never changes. That is pretty limiting, life limiting, isn't it? If you believe that, it's very hard to try something new. It's very hard to fail and to do something else. You feel that failure is the end, but it's not. I mean, the growth mindset is what we're looking for. It's the mindset that says, okay, I have these certain gifts, talents, and skills, and I can learn how to change them. So I can learn how to change my life. Now, each of us clearly has certain gifts, talents, skills. We're not all going to do the same thing right? Or want to do the same thing. We're going to become who we are, the best version of who we are. But, we develop a growth mindset so that we know we can change it. And then we actually start doing the work to change it. And my work with people includes, psychology, neuroscience, intuition, epigenetics, and also some, I talk about biology, and because to understand the mind-body connection, you have to understand how you work. And I find that once people do, they're like, yeah, wow. Yeah, if I change this thought pattern, if I rename this, if I reframe it, wow, it makes a difference in how I speak, how I act, how I behave, whether professionally or personally. I think it's the bottom line, like you said, to everything. You master your mindset, you master your life. Let's put it this way. In most beliefs, right, whether they be religious or spiritual, right, that realm, this is the goal, right, to become who we are and the best version or the highest version of who we are. And that's what I believe. And I believe we can do it. I do believe we can absolutely do it because I've seen it done with people and I've seen it done with myself.
So let me ask you this. If someone was ready to take action, because we all know that is the first step to anything for you to change or transform.
That's right.
What would you think what's the first thing you would suggest they do? And I guess I want to kind of reframe it like this. If you had to, for whatever reason, start all over again, rebuilding your mindset and your thoughts, what would be the first thing that you would do that you would recommend to someone that's just kind of starting out?
Wow, that's such a great question because not that I regret things. It was a different generation, different time. We didn't have this information, this knowledge, this accessibility, but I would love to have done this much, much younger. I would have, stopped myself from years of suffering, years of struggling, years of internal conflict. So what I would say to people, if you're a teacher or a parent, learn this and learn so that the children you're affecting will start realizing that they're beautiful beings and to start becoming who they are. That's number one. But whoever would want to learn this, do it as early as you can. And the interesting thing, Inga, is that I find that most of my clients are in their 20s and 30s and coming to me. They're all different ages, but I love that because they're starting early. And the first thing I say is pat yourself on the back, which makes you smile, which relaxes your parasympathetic nervous system, by the way, the vagus nerve. When you do that, okay, and you start young and you start changing your thoughts, your life is going to change earlier. You're going to avoid so much unnecessary struggling, stuckness, anxiety, right? Stuff that a lot of us have been through. You're not going to get rid of all the struggle in life, right? That's life, right? As the Dalai Lama even says, it's just how we handle it. So learning how to handle it younger, that would be it for me. But if you can't and you're older, doesn't matter. It's never too late to start. I started later, doesn't matter. As long as you get there, as long as you don't, I'm going to say this bluntly, as long as you don't die with the music inside you.
Right. For sure.
Right?
So let me ask you this. What would you recommend? Would you recommend a book? Would you recommend a course? Would you recommend a coaching program? What kind of things would you recommend for someone that is ready to make that step? Just a generic, first step that person would do.
That's a great, thought. There's no generic thing. Like for me, I spent ages. I read thousands of books. I can't even tell you. There are so many good books out there. One is The Body Keeps the Score, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. He's a big trauma expert. I'm reading one now by Peter Levine, another trauma expert. There's a book, what is it called? The four agreements. But his son wrote another book that I love that's called Mastery of Self or something like that. And they're in parable form. Doesn't matter. Read as many books as you can, take courses. But the bottom line, I think, is you have to go a little deeper. You have to be able to connect your conscious mind to your subconscious. And for that, you may need help, okay? Could be a hypnotherapist, because I do that. It could be a coach like you or like myself. Could be a therapist. That's great too. For some of us who have bigger, deeper trauma, you probably need a therapist. Or you can have all of the above. What's wrong with that? These days we have so many opportunities. It's just amazing to me. You can take online courses, right? You can do so many things, but get the help. The main thing is don't be afraid. I think if you're struggling or stuck, it's sometimes difficult to do it on your own. Yeah. No need. One thing I learned young, thank goodness, and I taught my son young, is to always ask for help when you need it. Doesn't matter. Okay, so Whether if you feel like you want a therapist, then go out there. You can ask people for referrals. I give people referrals to therapists if they need it. For coaching, Inga is a great coach. She's in her, so I do coaching for something different. Reach out to someone who resonates with you, who connects with what you need, okay? And just start. You can always change it. Things are never fixed. You can always change it up. But like you say, as coaches, we know we have to take action, because if you're just sitting around dreaming, that's called dreaming, right? You have to take action, otherwise it stays fantasy. So do it. Just start. Go with a coach, go with a therapist. Start. If that's not the right word, change it around. The path is always changing. I always say to people, and I really believe this, life is a roller coaster ride. It really is. It's got ups, it's got downs, it's got it's got great, it's got all of it. That's part of the game. So what we can always change, we can always alter things. And that's the free will that we have. And I think go for it. Basically, like you're saying, take action. Like Nike says, what does Nike say? Go for it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. So there you go. Just do it.
Right. Yeah. So I would totally agree with what you say. I think it's so important for people to start. And I think oftentimes people don't want to start because they fear they're not doing the right thing, that they're not making the perfect choice. But I know from experience that the choices are only presented to you as you go through it, as you take action. So you have to take action. And then if it's not the right choice, then you just pivot and do something different. Many of us had to do that with this pandemic. I mean, we've all had to pivot.
Oh my God.
Things that we were doing in person, we had to do virtually. So just think of it like that, something happens that doesn't necessarily go the way you thought it was going to go because of the choice you made. Okay, regroup, tweak and repeat, and do something different. It's okay to fail.
Inga, not only that, almost always when you think you're failing or something happened, like you said, you got fired or laid off during Corona, whatever, those are the times that not only you grow the most, but usually life goes for the better. In the end, almost always is the better. And the other thing I want to say, I love that you said with, that thing of being perfect or right or whatever that is, or society's version of right, which is not always our version.
Right.
Another thing that stops people is fear. For people who have real trauma, they're afraid to go down into the body, down into their feelings, because, they're tough feelings, some of them, a lot of tough stuff. So to do that, you need to have someone who understands you, who gives you space, who holds you, who makes you feel safe, who knows how things work, who may or may not have been there themselves. But that's an important part of it, that the fear holds a lot of people back. But I always say to people, and I've learned over the years, in order to heal anything in your life, you have to feel it. So you have to feel it to heal it. And so there's fear involved. And like you said, there's, I'm afraid I'm not going to get it right, or how my parents or whoever said I should. So that's where we have to bring together the conscious and subconscious mind, the right and left brain, right? The mind and body, all those things have to be brought together. And it's a beautiful journey. It's not a simple journey. It's got its ups and downs, but I think it's the journey that makes the difference.
For sure. And I know I have always thought about this acronym when I think of fear that one of my mentors had given me, that fear is false evidence that appears real. So if you remember that, and essentially that's what it is, because most of the time we get all uptight over something. And then once we do it, it's like, is that all there is?
Exactly. And you know what they say? I think I read an article. Exactly. I think I read an article that 98, this is how much we think and fear. 98% of our fears never come to pass.
Never come true. Exactly.
So they're not true. The first thing I would tell people, I'm going to tell you, just made me think of something. Don't believe your thoughts. That's it. Don't believe your thoughts. You have to learn how to question them and look at them and see where they're coming from. Don't believe your fears. Same thing. Once you know that 98% of our fears don't come to pass, or 98% of our thoughts aren't true, okay, that's a start.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we appreciate all the golden nuggets that you have given us today, Dr. Gigi. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to let people know how they can get in touch with you. And I know you gave me your website, so I will definitely put that on the screen. But if you have any handles or anything you want to share, for sure, let us know.
Fantastic. So, as Inga put up, it's www.gigiarnaud.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Dr. Gigi Arnaud. So that's DrGigiArnaud. You can get in touch with me through my website, which Inga put up. Thank you. For a clarity call, it's a free 45-minute session usually. And it's to see if we can work together well. But if you have any questions, thoughts, you can message me, you can text, you can do whatever. I am, this work is for me beautiful. It's not even work. So it's just fascinating. And I'm sure you feel the same, Inga, because I know you're really good in what you do. So thanks for having me here. It's like such a pleasure to talk to you, and really wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. So everyone, if you guys want to get in touch with Dr. Gigi, you got the website here on the screen. I will be sure to put her handles down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and bye for now.